Hello, everyone. This is Outnumbered. I'm Harris Faulkner, here with my co-host, Kayleigh McEnany. Also joining us today, Cheryl Casoni, Fox Business anchor and host of American Dream Home on Fox Business. Lisa Booth, Fox News political analyst. And Joey Jones, Fox News contributor and retired U.S. Marine bomb technician. The Department of Homeland Security now says it will begin paying for the flights of illegal aliens who choose to self-deport from the United States. Those self-deportations will be facilitated through the administration's CBP Home app. DHS formally announced the move earlier today, and they say it will end up saving American taxpayers big time in the long run. Bill Melugin has been covering the story. He's on it. He broke it. He's in Los Angeles. Bill, you are collecting more information.
Yeah, and Harris, this is a pretty big deal. DHS tells us not only are they going to start paying for the commercial flights of illegal aliens who want to self-deport, on top of that, they're also going to pay them an additional $1,000 stipend once they're confirmed to have left the United States. Now, DHS says doing this is going to be a whole lot cheaper for American taxpayers. They tell Fox that right now it costs, on average, about $17,000 to arrest, detain, and deport someone. They say by doing this with the self-deportations and the stipend, it's only going to cost about $4,500 per alien. That's about 70% cheaper. Now, aliens are going to have to register to self-deport on the new CBP Home app if they want to access that DHS financial assistance. They'll also have to announce their intent to leave the country. DHS tells us that any aliens who sign up and register to self-deport will immediately be deprioritized as a target for ICE arrest.
We're giving you our word that we will give you this money and that you can leave today. It's the safest way. You will not be arrested. You will not be detained, and we will give you that free flight.
And ICE says they've deported nearly 66,000 illegal aliens during the first 100 days of the administration. They've also arrested 66,000 more, 3/4 of which have criminal convictions or charges. The acting director of ICE says they will continue to use the FBI, DEA, and other federal agencies to help out with arrests.
This is a whole-of-government approach that President Trump and the administration is giving us to go after these foreign actors that are in our country illegally, committing crimes and terrorist acts.
And guys, when it comes to paying for those self-deportation flights, DHS says not only is it cheaper, it's also importantly going to preserve ICE resources. Every migrant that decides to get on a plane on their own and leave the country, that's one person less that ICE officers will have to go out, find, and arrest. They've got limited resources, only about 5,500 officers nationwide. This will help them out a lot in that regard.
Bill, great job today. I can't say it enough. I do it every show. Good to see you. Thank you.
Thanks, Harris.
So, Joey, this is also a psychological thing for anybody who's committed those crimes in this country or who hasn't and broke our initial crime of coming across the border illegally. What message do you think this sends?
It took me a minute to come up with an opinion on this, and I think it's smart. You know, they say that it will cost us less to deport them this way. But look at you're getting a treasure trove of information on these individuals. You're actually, for the first time, having the opportunity to learn who they really are and track them in a way that when they came across the border illegally, you weren't. You know, I come from a town where in the 90s, it was perceived that there was an economic advantage to illegal immigrants coming here and working cheap. And what they would do is, as soon as the IRS caught up to them in any meaningful way, they'd go steal someone else's identity, get a new fake identity, and come back and work in the same place. So you're looking at some of these people have been living under fake identities of real Americans. We talk about DOJ and Social Security fraud. I was 16 years old and went to the unemployment office to register to try to get a job, and they found out an illegal alien was using my Social Security to pull disability and get a job and had been living under it for a long time. And so all of this kind of comes together. So what are they doing? Hey, here's $1,000, here's $1,000. Get on a plane, we'll get you out of here. And in doing so, we can document who you are, where we sent you, so that if you come back, we have a stronger case, and maybe we can track you before you get here.
That is fascinating. Cheryl, talk to me about the money.
It makes economic sense to do it this way. You've already got critics coming out and saying we're spending taxpayer money on this. Well, guess what? Let me give you an economic example of what happened here in New York City. We've spent $7.5 billion on migrants in this city. We spend $307 per migrant. We only spend $207 per homeless person in the city of New York because of all the services that go along with the migrant population. So overall, those hotel rooms that we gave them, that could have been given to tourists that were going to come and actually spend money in our city that did not spend that money. And you know what? Look, at the end of the day, if you want to come into our country, do it the legal way. there is a legal process that can be followed. So that, I think, is the better solution. And by the way, I was looking at some data, 140,000, I think, deportations at this point so far under Trump. But I think about half of those are actually self-deportations. The message is loud and clear. If you're here illegally, get out.
Kaylee, you watched this from the perch of the White House press secretary first term. So you know under Trump's first term what he can do. He's gone even farther this time to redirect this issue.
Yeah, I absolutely love this plan. I think it underscores the Trump administration's methodical, rational, and compassionate approach to the issue of illegal immigration. I mean, if you watch the media, they say, you know, they're ruthless, they're angry, they're out to just deport everyone. No, this shows some nuance. There are, it is a fact, good, hardworking people who, yes, crossed the border illegally, but are here and love this country and wanted to take advantage of the American dream. Should they have done it the right way? Of course. But President Trump does recognize that person. In his interview with Rachel Campos-Duffy, this kind of went under the radar, but to me, this was the biggest headline from it. She played a clip for him of a Mexican man who'd been in this country for 20 years, has U.S. citizen children. And you know what Trump said to that? He said, I look at this man and I say, this is a guy I want to keep here. I will probably take heat for saying it. And Trump said he wants to bring the good people back. And I think that's smart, not just from a compassion standpoint, a human standpoint, but from a polling standpoint. When you look at the people who want to just deport some illegal immigrants, that's the majority of the country. They want to deport criminals. They want to deport people who got here in the last 4 years. They don't want to deport people who have jobs. They don't want to deport people who have U.S. citizen children. CNN poll said 70% want to find a way to keep good, hardworking people here. So Trump underscoring this, I think it's smart, it's rational, and it's compassionate.
It puts, Lisa, the power to be here legally back in the hands of those people. I mean, some people will just say, oh, my gosh, they're going to deport me. I give up. Let me hide, whatever. Some will try to hide in plain sight, that sort of thing. But President Trump has said if you self-deport, you get back online with legitimacy to get back in this country. And it can happen, and even happen more expeditiously than it had happened before everybody was flooding the country illegally.
Well, yeah, and it's probably less scary for them as well because they can take it into their own hands versus maybe being sent to El Salvador, right, which is the message that President Trump has been trying to send with that. So it took me a minute to go through this as well and to process it. And at first I was thinking, look, I don't really like the idea of incentivizing illegal immigration. But that being said, this is when you see the businessman side of President Trump. Because what do you do when you're in business if you're a businessman? You try to solve problems, and you're looking out for the bottom line. And solving the problem, you look at President Trump running into these roadblocks that are the judges and his desire to deport, you know, these mass deportations that he's trying to do. So this solves that problem. And then looking out for the bottom line, we're $37 trillion in debt, almost. This would save us $12,500 per person for the self-deportation process. Also, he's looking at the big picture. What does this cost us in the long run? To absorb millions and millions and millions of illegal aliens into the United States. You can look at places like Springfield, Ohio, as a case study where they are completely drained of resources because they have absorbed 12,000 to 15,000 migrants in a city of 60,000 people. So it's a smart business decision, and we're seeing the business side of President Trump.
Well, and Joey, just quickly back to something that you said. Senator Eric Schmidt of Missouri said this last hour. He puts that number between 15 and 20 million, which is closer to what President Trump has been saying all along. You know why? Because we're getting a better idea of who's in the country, which speaks to the issue that you were talking about.
No, absolutely. Real quick, the thing is, a lot of Democrats or those opposed to this immigration policy will say, well, it's so inefficient to deport them. Understand that, yes, that's probably true. If we lived in a world where we had a secure border, a wall around it, and we knew who was in this country and how they got here, and we knew for sure that there weren't others coming, then we could focus on those here and look at things like amnesty and work to citizenship. The reason why Republicans have had to take such a hard line on, nope, you got to deport first, is because we opened the floodgates and brought so many people into this country for so long, and things like Nancy Pelosi pulling the deal that would have built the wall for DACA. Things like that have happened in Congress put us in this position.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.